Good looking now, G.
Everybody, let me tell you that here with you, beautiful, beautiful. Everybody, let me tell you that God made you beautiful, beautiful.
Hey there, excuse me, miss. No disrespect, you're very precious.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Hype. We have a special guest DJ joining us today. Give it up for DJ Shy. You can check her out on Facebook at DJ Shy 215 and Instagram at DJ Shy. Today we're going to be talking about what it means to be ghetto or ratchet. We use and hear the term often, but what's really the difference? How do you know if you're ghetto and how do you know if you're ratchet? And is that a bad thing? Tell us what you think. You can join the discussion by posting your opinions on our Facebook page at Philly Hype TV Show and on Twitter at The Hype TV Show. Be sure to hashtag Ghetto Hype. Stay tuned, we'll get hype on Ghetto versus Black right after this.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours.
Dr. King, what's your next move?
In March from Selma to Montgomery.
Selma is loud for every man, woman, and child.
We will not wait any longer.
In front of a crowd.
Mine eyes have seen the glory. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
You're watching The Hype, TV for, by, and about young women.
Ghetto is like it's like uncultured and like you're kind of like you're just not exposed to that many things.
Ghetto is just obnoxious.
It's like a trend thing to be ghetto.
Well, the image of being ghetto, not actually being ghetto, because no one actually wants to be ghetto because that like sucks.
Okay.
The ghetto, like growing up in the hood, growing up not having nothing, probably lower class.
Ghetto has definitely been like, in terms of like media, something that's popular. It's a trend, but like the reality of that is nobody wants. That's why people who are in the hood are trying to get out of the hood.
I think ratchet is like when a fat girl come out the house in like a half shirt and like you can see all her stomach hanging out. That's ratchet.
There's stereotypical ratchetness, right? She's black and got these shoes on.
If you're weave and you can see all the tracks, that's ratchet.
When I think about ratchet just like more of like trashy.
If your braids growing out and it's time to get them redone, that's also starting to get ratchet.
Ratchet is a girl who doesn't respect herself. A girl who's dirty. A girl who talks like she got gum in her mouth.
I'm mad I just called you ratchet and you just described yourself like that.
I think if you're ratchet, like you have the means to be like a respectable person.
Welcome back. So we just heard some of what you had to say on the topic. Now I'd like to welcome my co-host Vanessa and our special guest host Angela Lynn Ware to the conversation. We also have our audience today and Blush will be working with them. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Hi. Hey. So that was hilarious. We just heard a whole bunch of different things. We heard ghetto as it being a lifestyle. It could be something that you were in. then it could be like a hipster thing, like a style. But then ratchet, it was just like a whole like a demeanor. It's kind of what I got from the conversation. What did you?
That was hilarious. Number one, like those responses were everything. But to me, like ghetto versus ratchet, like I feel like ghetto is a place, like you could literally be born in the ghetto.
Yeah.
And then that place grew a culture out of it, so they call it ghetto. But I feel like ratchet, anybody could be ratchet, just like the boys said. One of the girls said, like a heavy set girl walked into the house with a half shirt and her stomach is all out. Like that's ratchet. Like it's what you do that makes you ratchet.
Yeah. What do you think, Angela?
I definitely think that it could be both. It could be environmental. It could be, a cultural thing, like she's saying with ghetto. Ghetto could be related to like music, or it could be related to like where you come from. But ratchet, I think, is like perhaps like a posture. It's like how you carry yourself. Where ghetto and ratchet, maybe in those terms, aren't the same thing.
And you know what's something interesting I've been hearing, like, and I even saw a meme on Instagram about it, is sophisticated ratchet. So this is, the definition I saw was if you're an educated young woman, but you like to do hood rat or ratchet things with your friends, but you're not all the way ratchet because you have a degree or some letters behind your name.
If you're ratchet, it's that's it. There's no sophisticated ratchetness. You either are or you're not.
And whatever that means.
You might have ratchet moments, ratchet hiccups. You might be chilling and you have a ratchet moment, but no, there's no sophisticated ratchet. That's no.
Yeah,
no. You either are or you aren't.
And probably the person who came up with it is ratchet.
Just wanted to make it feel a little bit, well, I'm sophisticated ratchet, so we have to add a little something extra to it, so I'm not completely in that category.
No such thing.
And I liked how one of the girls mentioned, well, one, the guy completely played his friend while she was just sitting right there with him, but how she talked about it could be like a style thing. So that's getting into something, not only like the heavyset girl, but just somebody, you do not look good at all wearing that, but you just like, you know what, everyone else is wearing it, I'm gonna rock it. Or what about walking outside your house with your bonnet and your slipper and pajama pants on to the corner store?
Well, I mean, the same thing with the pants hanging down and your behind showing. Like, who wants to see that? Would you determine that to be ghetto or ratchet?
You see, to me, there's a difference. So like the whole pants sagging thing is ghetto. It might come from the hood or whatever, but like somebody dressed in a certain way, like, I don't want to be rude, but you know what I mean, dressed in a certain way, that's ratchet. Like, I don't know, like to me, like
muffin tops, is that ratchet?
It's just, you need to exercise. Like that's.
What's interesting is that we're kind of talking about the pants sagging kind of deals with more males and the different dressing deals with females. So is it that a female can be ratchet? Can a male be ratchet?
Absolutely. I think that pants hanging down with your stuff exposed is ratchet. Unacceptable. I don't want to see your underwear, and I don't want to see the crack of your behind. That's ratchet for a man.
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if a guy could be ratchet. I feel like I haven't heard guys called ratchet as much as females are.
Well, I think a lot of derogatory terms typically apply to women across the board.
That's true.
So I don't think that nullifies it being inapplicable to men. I just think that we always just apply it to women. Plus, it's probably more glamorized. You see it on TV, on The Housewives, on LA Wives and ex-basketball wives. Everybody says something, but it's always there and it's usually applicable to women.
And it seems too like with the term ratchet, it's kind of getting more like popular. So you have your, not only within your typical African American sitcoms or TV shows or talk shows, but you're seeing it like on your Ellens and on your Bethany's and and they're using it too interchangeably, like saying that's ratchet or she's ratchet. So it's kind of crossing now, like the ratchet is more the acceptable
Mob
term.
wives, and they thrive off of being ratchet. And I don't care how you term it or what nationality bears it, it's not cute.
It's not cute, not at all.
Not at all.
Is there a way that there's a clear, like, have we had a clear definition of what the difference is? Like, do you think there is a clear difference between this is ghetto, this is ratchet?
I don't think that there's a clear difference. I think that they kind of run parallel. Although they aren't one and the same, they look very similar.
Now, I tend to think that ratchet is a choice. I think you choose to come out with your little shirt on, with your big body.
I agree.
Or, you do things that defy societal acceptable norms. I think you choose to be ratchet. I think, on the other hand, to be ghetto, I think you simply think that's okay. You think it's normal. You don't know any better. I think it has a lot to do with exposure, who you spend your time around, perhaps the neighborhood you grew up in, and what's acceptable to the people you hang out with. So I tend to think that ratchet is straight up a choice. You tend to know, for instance, I saw something about a girl who sang at a church in New York last week, and literally she had on fishnet stockings, and it looks like an adult onesie for a performance at a church. Wow. I'm like, that was straight up ratchet. She had to know better. But she chose to do that because I think it's defiant. She thought it would make a statement. It certainly did on my Facebook page. But ultimately, I think people who do things that are ghetto, they really don't see the problem with it. And I think a lot of times it's like, why are you just hating on me? Like, why don't you like it? And I think for me, that's where the difference. I think you choose to be ratchet.
I think the lines are blurred because so many things in society are socially acceptable now. And we don't challenge it. We just accept it for what it is. That doesn't necessarily make it right. And I think from that perspective, it isn't really environmental. It's not really a choice. I'm not really sure what it is, hence not being able to determine or make a clear, decisive line about whether they are one and the same.
So I kind of like what Blush meant. It could be actual unchoosing way of acting, and another one could be chosen behavior. But then, like you said, they do have that kind of blurred line. There could be ghetto things that are ratchet, and then there could be ratchet things that are ghetto.
One of the things as you're talking that I'm thinking about is wearing the head bonnets outside and the pajamas. I tend to find, in my opinion, I tend to call that ghetto because I'm thinking, you really think it's okay. I'm running out, I'm running late, particularly sometimes when you're dealing with somebody who thinks that they're just going to the Wawa, the corner store, something like that. I think that they really think it's okay. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to see anybody, that kind of thing. I tend to think that's ghetto because you think it's okay. But on the other hand, I don't think that's limited to class. In some neighborhoods, you're like, seriously, you're like in Starbucks looking crazy, and you're actually going somewhere. So I think sometimes we also tend to think ghetto has to do with being poor. And I don't think it's that either.
Oh, definitely.
I don't think it's limited to that at all.
But I think, again, that goes to say that me wearing this hair bonnet and these pajamas at the Starbucks is acceptable. Because no one challenges it and say, hey, you with the bonnet and the pajamas on, why do you have that on? Go home, put some clothes on, and come back.
I think it's acceptable in the sense that nobody challenges it, but it's acceptable if you are at a certain status in life, I think. I think when you start to transcend and you're moving up the ladder, you're marrying into different families, communities, you're moving up professionally, I think certain behaviors just click off. There's certain things you don't do anymore.
But is it ever okay, so you're kind of getting into something, like, is it ever okay to have that type of behavior? Because if you're thinking about the bonnets and the scarves, so we live in the city, but if you go to a college campus and we're all in sweatpants and hoodies, and I'm going to class and I'm just like, literally, I'm just there to learn. I don't care how I look. I'm just there to take my test and to go home. So we're talking about another level, but similar behavior. So when is it ever okay or acceptable? Because in college, that's okay to do if you're just wearing sweatpants, hoodies, and you still have your scarf on and you're walking across campus.
I went to college.
Exactly.
And I didn't go with a hair scarf and some pajamas. It's just not acceptable. And you are judged by your appearance. And people assume that you are something that you could very well not be simply because of how you look. You can miss out on opportunities because you don't present yourself in a manner that's acceptable. So we need to stop accepting it, say that it's not okay, speak up and out against it so that people stop doing it because it's not acceptable.
So it's kind of going into then where do we start to try to mediate or help correct that
If people
behavior?
stop being so scared about, oh my God, I can't say nothing to this person. No, say it.
So we're going to get more into this right after the break. Stay tuned.
Homemade noodles. Marty, stop it. That reminds me, maybe we should try a new form of birth control.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
What do you think, though?
Charlie Sheen's ghetto.
No, Charlie Sheen's the
ghetto.
man.
Paris Hilton is ghetto.
Yes. Paris Hilton ratchet.
I think she wore a shirt that said
You know how many
stop
dudes
being
she been
poor.
with? She a whole thought.
Who's a thought?
Paris Hilton. That's ratchetness.
Nicki Minaj, I don't think she's ghetto. I feel like she was ghetto. But her pink hair, okay, she can have pink hair because she's a celebrity. She has money. She can do what she pleases. You don't see her tracks in her pink hair now, do you? I don't think so. Her hair is still laid, whether it's pink or not. I guess it's something if Nicki Minaj was like walking down the street and she wasn't Nicki Minaj, you would probably be like, she would wear like the loud, like pink outfits. But I don't know.
Amber Rose and Black China are ghetto.
No, Amber Rose is thorough though.
Who got pregnant and then everybody thinks like they're not strippers.
But ghetto is a sense of creativity. That's what I'm trying to say. I think because if you're ghetto, then that means like you are like who you want to be.
Welcome back. Now, if you're watching us at home, school, or wherever, you can join the conversation by posting your comments online. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and then post your comments to today's question. What's the difference between ghetto and ratchet? And don't forget to hashtag ghetto hype. Here's some of what you had to say on Twitter. So we heard from Tierra Snoopy 16. There's no difference to me at all. The term ratchet is just up to date. Corinne Tuesday mentioned, to be honest, I don't think there's a difference between ghetto and ratchet. Same meaning, just different words. And we also had Maya Addiction. Ghetto is really urban and sounds and ratchet. It's really ghetto and sounds and ratchet and extra urban. Sound and wearing bright colors and hair clothes. So that I guess I was talking about ratchet being more so like your style, fashion. More so.
I think that's an interesting point because one of the girls in the video said like Nicki Minaj, like she has pink hair, but her tracks aren't shown in her pink hair. Like I feel like you can't take how people want to express themselves and then call it ghetto or ratchet.
Yeah.
But there is a line, like if your tracks are showing, come on, like, all right, I get that. But I think sometimes what we do, like I know we were referring to like going out in your pajamas. Who's to say that going out in your pajamas is really ghetto or ratchet? Now, my mom raised me, I would never do that in my life. That's me. But if I see somebody on college campus and they have their pajamas on, we at college. Like we pay for this. We're paying $30,000. Like if I don't want to get dressed today, I'm not getting dressed. Like I'm gonna wash my face and come outside.
You do that because you're a college student. It's because of your station in life. Think about it. Once you get out of school, you get a job. I dare you to show up somewhere in your pajamas. I want to see it.
Okay, I'm not gonna show up somewhere, but if I'm running to the corner store,
Well,
I mean, not me per se,
You're not
but
gonna go to Wawa like that.
I'm not.
No,
I'm
exactly.
Let's hear what someone with the audience have to say. I see they have some questions.
Actually, we have about 4 or 5 questions. They were very pointed.
My name's Nia, and my question is: would you put trifling, ghetto, and ratchet in the same category?
Wow, trifling, ghetto, and well, that goes into different. Trifling, I feel like it's just like you're just like come on,
that's
now.
just nasty or something. Like it's just
it's like you're worse than worse. It's
Yeah,
like, it's you're worse than worse. So that has this definition, and then you're getting into the ghetto and ratchet. So I think they can be used. You could have a ratchet, ghetto, trifling person.
Wow,
you
that's
could.
just really bad. That's just really bad. Dang, that's crazy.
Do we have another? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Angela Pender, and my question is, do you think that a hair color can categorize yourself as being ghetto, or is it how you dress your hair?
When you say dress your hair, what do you mean?
Like, is it because of how your hair color is, do you have to dress the part, or is it because your hair is this color, you have to dress ghetto?
Gotcha.
I totally think that hair color has a lot to do with being termed something derogatory, be it ghetto, ratchet, whatever. Because look at the odds. We're talking about college and what you do afterwards. You go to a job interview with the person who looks professional with natural hair color versus someone with pink hair. Who's going to get the job?
And it depends on the setting too.
See, I disagree with that. This is why I disagree with it, because I feel like I can see somebody who has that bright pink Nicki Minaj hair, right? I can see somebody who does it and they pull it off and I'm like, wow, she did that. Like, she pulled that pink hair off. And then I can see somebody with pink hair and I'm like, what happened, honey? Like what? Like, I don't feel like the hair color itself. I feel like you are who you are, and whatever you do is gonna like be an expression of that. So whether your hair is pink, orange, purple, or blue, if you're ghetto, then you're gonna express it in a ghetto way. And if you're classy or whatever, it's gonna look classier or whatever.
What classy person do you know with blue hair?
Well, it depends on the type of blue. Because you
Let's
can
go
have
on
a
Pinterest.
black
We can do
blue,
this.
and it reads black, but in certain lights, you can see the blue highlights. So I think you bring up
I think we're reaching here.
No, it is reaching.
I don't think so.
I think it's too what you're getting into.
Get away with this psychedelic rainbow color hair. I think they're in creative professions. I think they tend to be younger. I don't know anybody who works in an office formal setting with that kind of hair. As a matter of fact, I was at a workshop the other day and they talked about how in their application packet, they are very much so straight up about what is acceptable here because they want you to self-select. They want you to recognize this is our environment and we don't care about your personal expression. Blue hair, green hair, none of that works here no matter how good you are.
But now, are we talking about being ghetto or ratchet, or are we talking about fitting into a system? Because those are two different things.
But if I need you to fit into my system, you can't be ghetto.
But that's what I'm saying. Which one are we talking about? Like,
does the hair color define that though?
Of course not. We know that hair color doesn't define you as a person, but it also goes into perception. I don't think that there's one set thing that you could put in a box and lock it and say that this is ghetto or ratchet, but it can lend to that being the understanding.
And I see do we have another question from the audience?
Hi, my name is Amaya, and my question was, what if you're trying to be different and other people think it's ratchet? Is it still ratchet?
I don't know.
That's a good point.
Because that could be like just who you're around. So what they define as it being whatever, because something that's acceptable in one community could not be in another. And depending on what you're involved in. I don't know. Is that kind of how
To me, I think at the end of the day, you have to decide who you want to be and where you want to go, and then allow yourself to deal from there. Because like, if I want to be in corporate America, having hot pink hair might not be the best move for me. Like that might not be the best move for me. So whether people are going to look at it as ghetto or ratchet, then I have to make a decision. Do I care more about having pink hair or being in corporate America? Like those decisions have to be made. But if creativity and like doing those different things is really important to you, and that's where you want to go forward, and then having that self-identity is mad important to you, then you choose that. Like, and then you go places where they're going to accept you for that regardless. So to me, that's a personal choice.
I guess I kind of think of that in the same vein as I think of what it means to have freedom. It's recognizing that you're going to make choices, and no matter what choice you make, it comes with consequences, and being okay with that. I mean, frankly, when I cut my hair off, there were people who looked at me like, really, what woman is feminine who wears her hair that way? And I recognized that meant that certain people were going to make certain assumptions about me, but it was a choice I wanted to make. And again, no matter what you choose, you're going to have to deal with some consequences. So I do think that personal style is something that you have to balance against, as Vanessa said, where you want to go and what kinds of backlash and just people's perceptions you want to manage.
And I think thinking with the style and thinking about your career, going back to like the ghetto versus ratchet and it being something that might be a part of somebody, you could be a ghetto person in corporate. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about in a previous episode about being black and knowing when to be kind of a chameleon whenever, not to necessarily fake a part, but knowing and being conscious of your surroundings, and that what you're doing and how you're doing it is going to be observed and read a certain way depending on someone else's. So if you're in your office and you're loud on the phone, cussing out somebody on the phone, then and you're in a corporate setting, then it's not going to read well. Absolutely. And then looking at your personal expression, that goes into another thing. So you have to kind of be mindful of where you're acting and how you're acting, because no matter what people say, people do judge, and we do look, mistakenly or not, and whether you care about it, that's on you, but to kind of be mindful of both of them.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. Like, don't let, just because you want to do whatever you want to do, don't mask, oh, I'm going to sit here at work and cuss and act or whatever because it's my personal expression of creativity. Nah, like that's not what we're saying right now. Like that's not, that's not it.
It's funny, as you were talking, one of my girlfriends is an attorney for a large organization in the area. And she says some of the most biting things, but because she says it like this, oh my God, people won't regard her as ratchet, but it is definitely mean. And again, because she says it well, she couches it in different language, it's more acceptable. And people just take it as that's her personality, and she's not deemed either. So it also goes back to the class thing as well, I think.
Yeah, so I know we have one more comment, but stay tuned, we'll get right after this.
Don't walk. Don't walk. Walk. Do not enter. Hot dogs. Definitely like hot dogs. Motorcycle club. Everything must go. Ghostly ghouls. Don't look at that, Teddy. Body piercing. Ouch.
Everyday moments can become teaching moments because learning starts long before school does. Give your child the start they need at bornlearning.org.
You and I, we be frontin' the game. Put you in the zone, now you're forcing a change. Although I want the same, can't move that way cause I got constraints. I don't wanna confuse things and make us tie loose like new shoestrings. It gets so hard to communicate between friends once feelings get in the way. Yeah, I know friends ain't supposed to be lovers, but there's part of me that still wonders, could it all work out or confuse things? I know friends ain't supposed to be lovers, but there's part of me that still wonders, could it all work out or confuse things? Why you wanna go and do that, love, huh? Pipes bust when you apply pressure. Airborne, you're infectious. Your persistence is affecting us. Now we can't hang like a necklace. He envy cause you're next to us. My Diane is too precious, so cutting you off is a must. I know friends ain't supposed to be lovers, but there's part of me that still wonders, could it all work out or confuse?
Hey, this is Jennifer Hudson, and you're watching The Hype.
TV for, by, and about young women.
We would like to thank our guest DJ Shy, our special guest host, Angela Lynn Ware. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you'd like to intern with us, be in the studio audience, or submit an original music for the show, please visit thehypetvshow.com. I'm Courtney Pulliam, and for Vanessa, Blush, and the whole Hype team, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
You're very precious. Please tell me what's your name. You're a precious gem and got to blame. No, I'm not trying to spit the game, cause it's your soul I'm trying to claim. You probably never heard of this. I love a affair without a kiss. All the diamonds in the world could never hold your vow.